What's up everyone, this is FP Sticks. Season 7 of Go Battle League starts today, and so in today's video I just want to briefly highlight some of the continued top performers in Great League, in Go Battle League, and kind of talk about my thoughts for how the meta might shape up here at the beginning of Season 7 Go Battle League. So on the screen I was able to just screenshot like the top 28 picks for Open Great League off of PvPoke. One thing we always need to keep in mind is that a lot of these rankings, some of these wins and losses are totally bait dependent, so occasionally the rankings can be slightly inflated. But what you're seeing here, XL Metacham being on the top of the list, I think this is a very accurate representation of what we are going to see in today's battles. More and more people have been able to farm up these XL candies for Metacham, and XL Metacham is very, very strong in the meta. Looks like PvPoke is recommending Ice Punch and Psychic. However, I think there's a huge case to be made if you're running a Metacham in the back as a hard punish to a Steel type switch in. You could run Power Up Punch and really farm up a lot of energy off of those particular matchups, and Metacham essentially has the coverage moves to just sweep entire backlines if you're able to ramp up with Power Up Punch. So I definitely think there's a case to be made there. However, Ice Punch and Psychic does give you the most universal coverage there. The battles that we're seeing on the screen here are just me running a bunch of different teams against some of my patrons and kind of seeing what I like and what teams really don't work. So you'll be able to see that taking place in the background as well. Deoxys Defense still at number 2 here. Looks like the recommended moveset of Psycho Boost and Thunderbolt. I think if you're running Psycho Boost, you're going to want Deoxys in the lead. Otherwise, if you want to use Deoxys as a safe swap, I still really enjoy using Rock Slide and Thunderbolt just for the nice coverage that it offers you on Defense Deoxys there. XL Azu. Has anyone out there been farming your XL Azu candies? Because XL Azu is extremely bulky. Honestly, even normal Azumarill is ranked down there at number 13, but XL Azumarill is going to be extremely bulky. Azumarill, as we know, is definitely going to be one of the top picks in Great League. It's always going to be a top pick in Great League. Even with the bubble nerf, it's still very, very common. However, especially towards the end of Season 6, when Great League rolled around again, I was not seeing hardly near as many Azumarills as we have in the past. So that bubble nerf that Niantic did implement on the fast move of bubble really did have an impact on the number of Azumarills that I was seeing, at least personally, in my rating range. But Azumarill is still going to be a very strong pick, so when you are team building, you do always need to kind of have that in the back of your mind. What are you going to do against an Azumarill? G-Fisk is always going to be relevant, even with the Rock Slide nerf. Its bulk and its coverage moves are just way, way too strong. Altaria sitting at number 5 is really, really interesting. I feel like this rating is pretty inflated. The problem with Altaria is that you're going to struggle against Azumarill. You're going to struggle against ice types, with especially with Alolan Ninetales having access to Ice Weather Ball now. So many more people are running Alolan Ninetales, and that really shuts down Altaria. The Steel types like Bastiodon and G-Fisk shut down Altaria as well. Other than that, Altaria really does have a lot of play against a lot of neutral matchups, just because Dragon Breath is a very, very strong fast move, but it has huge weaknesses in the meta as well. So Altaria is still kind of a risky pick, but you can see with the rankings here, it does have a lot of favorable matchups if you can avoid a lot of the stuff in the meta that still counters it. Same with Charmers. Charmers are absolutely going to destroy Altaria here. And as far as I can see, there's no Charmers on this top rankings list here, but this is very deceptive because One thing that I'm going to talk about once we kind of go through this list really fast is the prevalence of charm and how I think is just going to continue to run rampant in the meta. But Sableye up there. If you can continue to build an XL Sableye, it's really going to be strong. You definitely want return though. Swampert, I'm very surprised that Scrafty is this high on the list again. Scrafty's another one of those Pokemon that has a lot of common weaknesses to things in the that we're going to see in the meta. Azumarill, other counter users, and Charmers especially. But other than that, especially if you can ramp up with Power Up Punch and 2 Shield, fast move your way through a lot of these matchups, Scrafty will have play. XL Wobbuffet, this thing is a little bit of a meme. It is insanely bulky. If you've never used an XL Wobbuffet or battled against one, you're going to be very surprised at how much damage it can tank, but it really doesn't dish out that much damage either. But it is going to be very bulky and win a lot of matchups just because of its bulk. Okay, XL Lickitung. This is going to be a very hot pick as well, but you're going to really have to grind those XL candies for it. But it's essentially going to function just like a Munchlax or a Snorlax, but now you have a coverage move of Power Whip as opposed to like Bulldoze or Superpower. So Power Whip will be hitting those grass types for super effective, which is pretty nice. Or it's going to be hitting the water and ground types for super effective because it is a grass type charge move. Shadow Machamp at number 12. Shadow Machamp is definitely one of the top counter users still in the meta, but with the like the more inclusiveness of Metacham and Defense Deoxys, Shadow Machamp is going to struggle a little bit there. Bastiodon, we are still going to continue to see a lot of Bastiodons. However, there is a lot less grass hole teams out there now, where you have the Bastiodon in the lead and then like the double Razor Leafers in the back. A lot less of that because of the Razor Leaf nerf, but Bastiodon is still going to be very strong. Politoed is another very solid option as well, having access to that water weather ball. Going to be able to get there very fast. Earthquake is a legacy move still, so you would have to use an elite TM on that, but you could also consider running it with Blizzard to give it really nice coverage against the meta. I'm surprised that Cresselia is still so highly rated. I might try running a Cresselia team this time around because that coverage move of Moonblast can hit those dark types for super effective and really do a lot of damage to like Scrafty and Sableye. And Grass Knot gives it a consistent win against Azumarill. I really like that Moonblast gives it a consistent win against Altaria as well. Jellicent at number 17. Jellicent is going to be very strong. I still don't have one built, but you could run it with the moveset on the screen, Bubble, Bubble Beam, and Shadow Ball, or you could run Hex as the fast move and then run double nukes on it. So run Ice Beam and Shadow Ball instead. I kind of like that moveset a little bit better. Give it some more coverage. XL Diggers B is insanely bulky and able to output a lot of damage as well. If you've been grinding XL candies for that, it might be fun to make a Diggers B and give it a shot this time around. Hitmontop, this highly rated. This is definitely inflated because it's based on you being able to successfully stack back-to-back close combats and get that off. But Mew, really solid. We know Wild Charge and Surf is typically the recommended moveset, but I really enjoy running Flame Charge and Wild Charge if you want to try to use Mew as a safe swap. Obviously, if they have like an Umbreon in the back, you kind of get shut down. But other than that, this offers you a lot of flexibility in your coverage there. Zweilous up at number 22. Zweilous kind of has the same problem as Scrafty. You're going to be weak to a lot of common things in the meta: Azumarill, Charmers, and counter users. But other than that, in a lot of neutral scenarios, because you have access to Dragon Breath and Body Slam as a fairly spammy move, you're going to be able to power your way through a lot of 2-shield scenarios. Umbreon is always going to be a strong pick. Hopefully you were able to build a last resort Umbreon during that Kanto event that we had. Registeel still up here, which is nice, but still obviously going to struggle against the same things it's always struggled against. If you run into an Alolan Marowak, it totally shuts you down. Counter users are still difficult, but it is going to be a nice response to like Flyers and Charmers. And Shadow Abomasnow still up there. Rainy Castform, kind of surprising that it's up there. And Meganium, you get walled by the Flyers. That's the biggest downside with that, but you have a lot of neutral matchups other than that. As far as where I think the meta is going to go, or at least start out with in the beginning of Great League here, I feel like so many people are going to be running Metacham, or they're going to try to find creative ways to get around countering Metacham. So again, towards the end of Season 6, I saw more and more team comps based around Charmers or based around hard countering Charmers. So I kind of feel like this is going to be a continuation of what we saw towards the end of the season. XL Metacham is going to be really, really strong. So you can choose to either run XL Metacham and support its weaknesses, or you can choose to counter Metacham team comps. And people like to go about that by either running Charm or running other psychic types that could shut it down, like Cresselia or Hypno. Stuff like that. So then you need to be aware of all of the Charm users that are going to be in the meta. Even though they're not on these top rankings list, I feel like Charm Alolan Ninetales is still going to be extremely popular. And so you can get around that by countering it with the steel types. Unfortunately, the fire types, it's still very difficult to see them like highly used in the meta just because of how much water there is. I still think the best fire type that you could possibly use is Alolan Marowak. Even with the Shadow Bone nerf, is still very, very strong. Alolan Marowak, you're going to have play against Metacham and the Charmer, so that's kind of a nice Pokemon that's able to kind of fulfill both of those roles there, able to beat the fighters and then also beat the Charmers. It really has a unique place in there, so we might see the rise of Alolan Marowak again, which would be nice. There were also some people running like double tank teams with Bastiodon and G-Fisk in the back, so that really shuts down the double charm or any sort of flyer team comps that people enjoy running. But honestly, we're just gonna have to kind of see how things shape up. Not too much has changed from like the end of Season 6 till what I'm assuming is going to be the battles today. So we will just have to see, but I think when you are team building, you need to be aware of Metacham's presence in the meta. Always keep a Azumarill in the back of your mind, and then decide how you want to counter those Pokemon. Do you want to run some Charmers to be able to hard punish any double dark teams that you might see, any Sableye safe swaps that you might see, any Metachams, or do you want to go the route of running Metacham and then covering its weaknesses, maybe with some steel types, because Metacham is a fighter that can beat all of the other fighters, so it's kind of nice coverage right there. But we will have to see. A couple more battles left in this video, so I'll kind of just talk through some of the possible team comps that I ran. This team of Swampert Double Ice I think is really going to be fun, and I am going to be giving it a shot, I think, in my first couple of sets. But Swampert and then Frostlass is the safe swap, and then Alolan Ninetales is in the back. You could also consider running Abomasnow in the back, or Abomasnow instead of Frostlass. The thing is Frostlass is much more flexible as a safe swap rather than like Abomasnow or Alolan Ninetales, because Abomasnow and Alolan Ninetales both get shut down pretty hard by Alolan Marowak, whereas Frostlass is easily able to fight back there, and you're able to grab shields with the threat of Shadow Ball. So that's definitely going to be a fun team comp. Swampert in the lead is often paired with like a Skarmory, but you can go the anti-grass route with Double Ice like that. Here's another team comp that I've been enjoying running. Venusaur in the lead, Mew as the safe swap. Excuse me. Mew running Flame Charge and Wild Charge. And then G-Fisk is obviously one of the most solid pairings that you can have with a Venusaur. You could go the route of pairing it with Bastiodon as well, but I do like the flexibility that G-Fisk has. Bastiodon does the role of an anti-flyer better than any other anti-flyer out there. However, in a lot of the other matchups, you're a lot less flexible, and so it's a lot easier to get farmed down by counter users or totally walled by the Mud Boys, the water ground types. So I do prefer the pairing of Venusaur and G-Fisk. I'm going to bring out my G-Fisk here because I know I can easily absorb one Frenzy Plant, and this Venusaur is in Rock Slide range pretty much. So I'm just going to throw Rock Slide right away and take it out. It's a Lantern in the back. It is a Spark Lantern. And so I'm just going to go straight for the Earthquake here. If they go for the Thunderbolt, I'm still going to survive. And they were counting on me potentially failing a bait there. So I just went straight for the Earthquake. I easily tanked the Thunderbolt, and then I'm able to mud shot that down there. Good game. G-Fisk in the Metacham. This is very, very bad. So this is where I'm running like G-Fisk double Psychic, double counter users in the back. So G-Fisk is weak to fighters. And so having 2 fighters in the back that can beat the other fighters is kind of my thought process behind this. The whole team kind of soft loses to Azumarill though, so that is something you kind of have to keep in mind. You have to be able to get creative with how to manage that, potentially chip it with an Earthquake on G-Fisk. Obviously, Defense Deoxys is the best response to an Azu. And depending on how XL your Metacham is, it can hang with the Azumarill as well. You saw my Defense Deoxys was actually able to get a shield advantage in that secondary matchup. That's really, really nice. Out comes the Metacham again. I was able to farm up so much energy off that AWAC that I'm able to throw this Earthquake, do a lot of chip damage, mirror with my own Metacham. I am running Ice Punch and Psychic in this particular matchup. So shield this is a good shield because Psychic would do a lot of damage. I really don't want to have to commit both shields here, so I'm just going to throw an Ice Punch. And it takes it out. In the back is an Abomasnow. My Metacham is just a Hundo IV, so it's not super XL. But able to tank that Weather Ball pretty decently. And then I have back-to-back Ice Punch here. And I'm going to throw this next Ice Punch. I think this is barely not enough to knock it out, but then one more counter goes through right here, so I can shield and counter down this Abomasnow. Good game. I think we have one more battle here in the video. Swampert into Surfetch. Oh man, so this is the Swampert double ice team, and Surfetched is a big problem for this, especially if my opponent sneaks in an extra counter, which I believe that they're able to do in this battle. Swampert does outpace the Surfetched, but this matchup literally flips if the opponent gets in one extra counter, which they did right there. Really, really bad for me. So I get both shields, but even if I were to shield right here, I would get countered down before I can get to another move, so I have to let it go. I'm going to bring on my Ninetales here because I can get to a move slightly faster than with my Frostlass, and none of these charge moves are going to hit for super effective. That's still chunks though. That Leaf Blade did so much damage. In the back is a Kanto Ninetales, but it is a shiny Kanto Ninetales, so it looked kind of interesting there. But this is absolutely going to destroy my backline. Man. Thanks for sticking with me, folks, while I'm constantly losing my voice talking all the time. Shadow Ball does do a lot of chip damage on this Frostlass, which is great. Farming up as much as possible, but I'm not going to be able to get to a Shadow Ball against that Ninetales before the Weather Ball takes me out. So thank you all so much for watching. Best of luck out there with your first battles in Season 7. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you appreciate the content, and I'll catch you all in the next video.